Princess Aria peered out through the viewport of the vessel Pioneer, her eyes wide with astonishment as she struggled to grasp the marvels of the human spacecraft. As the first emissary from the Anari people to step aboard a human ship, Aria had anticipated luxurious surroundings that matched her royal status. Instead, she found herself amidst a minimalist, utilitarian design that prioritized function over comfort at every juncture. Commander Jax Trent, the ship's executive officer, greeted Aria with a brief nod, his demeanor as efficient as the vessel he served on. He guided her through the corridors of the Pioneer, each new innovation leaving Aria more amazed than the last. Advanced artificial intelligence and robotics worked in flawless harmony with the human crew, handling tasks from navigation to upkeep with a precision that seemed almost supernatural. Aria marveled at the ship's ability to utilize pocket dimensions for storage and even stasis sleep during prolonged journeys, an engineering feat the Anari had long believed impossible. In the engineering bay, Aria observed humans transforming exotic materials into hull plating and power cores, manipulating fundamental forces with an ease that seemed almost childlike. As the tour progressed, Aria's preconceived notions of human primitiveness crumbled. The ship's captain, a seasoned veteran with numerous cybernetic enhancements, possessed abilities far surpassing anything the Anari Empire had ever achieved. Everywhere Aria looked, she saw evidence of a civilization so advanced that their technology seemed like magic to her people. Despite the awe swelling in her heart, a growing unease settled in Aria's stomach. The Anari Empire had significantly underestimated humanity's capabilities, and now the future of her civilization hung in the balance. As an emissary, Aria had been prepared for a mere ceremonial diplomatic mission, but it was becoming clear that rejecting an alliance with this rising power could spell disaster for her people. The fate of the galaxy itself might hinge on her ability to bridge the vast gap between their two species before it was too late. Entering the grand dining hall of the Pioneer, Aria was enveloped by a symphony of exotic aromas. The long table was laden with dishes from numerous worlds, including luminescent Lysian shellfish, pungent Zeltran cheeses, and even the infamous Centauri bladderfish, its mottled green flesh still twitching on the platter. Captain Roderick Volan, resplendent in his dress uniform, stood at the head of the table. "Princess Aria, welcome to the captain's table," he announced. "We've prepared a modest feast in your honor, a small taste of the abundance humanity has discovered among the stars." As Aria took her seat, she engaged in an animated discussion with Commander Trent and Dr. Mira Patel. Trent spoke with intense passion about humanity's relentless drive to explore and push beyond every frontier. "Whatever it takes, we are a people defined by our restlessness. The stars are our birthright, and we'll never stop reaching for them." Dr. Patel added, his dark eyes sparkling with fascination. "It's more than just exploration. With each new world we settle, each alien culture we encounter, humanity evolves. We adapt, innovate, and transcend our limitations through sheer will. That is the true power of the human spirit." Ambassador Lena Wayani raised her glass, her voice brimming with conviction. "It is our sacred duty to share that power, to uplift all life and usher in a new era of universal prosperity. The old ways must be cast aside so something greater can rise from the ashes. This is the burden and glory of our manifest destiny." As the dinner wound down, Captain Volan pulled Aria aside, his cybernetic eye focusing intently on her. "Princess, I'll be straightforward with you. The Pioneer is not just a trade vessel. She's a mobile shipyard capable of building entire fleets in space. Right now, humanity needs allies like the Anari Empire more than ever." His voice dropped to a grave whisper. "The Packd Hegemony is advancing, a swarm of ravenous machine drones seeking to consume all organic life. They've already annihilated a dozen star systems, and their advance shows no signs of slowing. But with Anari resources and human ingenuity combined, we could turn the tide and forge an alliance that reshapes the galaxy." As Aria retired to her quarters, her mind swirled with the implications of Volan's words. The prospect of an alliance seemed daunting, yet the alternative was watching the Anari Empire crumble before the Packd onslaught. With a heavy heart, Aria began drafting a proposal for the High Council, aware that she faced the greatest diplomatic challenge of her career. Sleep eluded her, her dreams haunted by visions of Anari and human ships fighting side by side against a relentless horde of machine horrors. In the darkness of her cabin, she whispered a prayer to ancestors she thought long forgotten, seeking strength to guide her people through the impending storm. As the artificial dawn of the Pioneer's day cycle began, Princess Aria was already awake, her mind racing with possibilities. She strode purposefully towards the bridge, her Anari robes flowing behind her as she navigated the ship's corridors with newfound familiarity. Captain Volan's cybernetic eye focused on her as she entered. "Princess, you're up early. I trust you've had time to reflect on our conversation?" Aria nodded, her voice resolute. "More than reflect, Captain. I have a proposal." The senior officers gathered around the holographic display as Aria outlined her vision for an Anari-human alliance. Her fingers danced across the interface, revealing logistics networks that spanned entire sectors. "Our infrastructure is vast," Aria explained, zooming in on an extensive space station with integrated human nanofactories. "We could arm the front lines faster than the Packd can advance." Commander Trent leaned forward, his eyes alight with strategic possibilities. "Our tactical advisors could reshape Anari military doctrine, a force multiplier effect." Ambassador Wayani nodded vigorously. "This is exactly the kind of bold thinking we need, two civilizations stronger together than apart." Captain Volan's face was etched with doubt. "It's an ambitious plan, Princess. But can your hubs truly handle our level of production?" Aria's lips curved into a smile. "Perhaps a demonstration is in order." She summoned a holographic simulation, transporting the officers to a virtual Anari sector hub. As they toured cavernous docking bays and complex storage facilities, Volan's eyebrows rose in admiration. "Impressive scale, I'll give you that. But our nanofactories operate on a different level." Aria gestured to a pulsing core at the station's center. "Neutronium alloys, mined from the hearts of dead stars. They stabilize and enhance matter replication beyond anything you've achieved before." Before Volan could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Report," Volan barked. Lieutenant Zhang's fingers flew across her console. "Massive subspace disturbance detected, sir. Energy signatures match Packd Hegemony vessels. It's an invasion fleet." Volan's face hardened. "Battle stations. Mobilize all sector defense forces." As chaos erupted, Aria planted herself firmly on the bridge. "I'm staying, Captain. Consider this my trial by fire." The view screen lit up with tactical displays as human commanders orchestrated a deadly dance across the stars. Aria watched in awe as hundreds of ships maneuvered with incredible precision, their firepower obliterating Packd vessels into clouds of molten debris. Yet for every machine ship destroyed, two more emerged from the rift, causing the human fleet's formation to falter under the relentless assault. Dr. Patel's voice cut through the din of battle. "Captain, I've isolated the rift generator's frequency. A precision strike with a dark energy torpedo could collapse it and cut off their reinforcements." Volan's cybernetic eye whirred as he considered the implications. The Pioneer is the only ship in range with that capability. But at this distance, it's a one-way trip. Morales nodded grimly. "I'll take her in myself." "No," Aria's voice rang out, silencing the bridge. "I'll do it." Stunned faces turned towards her as she continued. "My psychic abilities give me an edge in navigating the anomaly. And what better way to seal our alliance than with Anari blood?" Volan opened his mouth to object, but Aria was already moving. "You have command of the fleet, Captain. I have a date with destiny." The Pioneer shuddered as Aria pushed its engines beyond their limits, plunging into the heart of the Packd Armada. The voices of a billion machine drones screamed in her head as reality itself twisted around the ship. Gritting her teeth against the psychic assault, Aria steered through eldritch energies that defied comprehension. The rift generator loomed before her, a mass of impossible geometries. With trembling fingers, she locked onto the target and fired the dark energy torpedo. The torpedo struck true, and space itself screamed as the rift began to collapse. Aria rode the shockwave out of the maelstrom as the Packd fleet was cut off from its lifeline. As the Pioneer limped back towards friendly space, Aria slumped in the captain's chair. She had succeeded in saving two civilizations and forging an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. Yet, as she gazed at the stars, Aria knew the real challenge lay ahead. Convincing an empire set in its ways to embrace a radical new future would be the greatest test of her diplomatic skills. With a weary smile, Aria began composing her address to the Anari High Council, steeling herself for whatever came next. The Pioneer emerged from hyperspace, its battle-scarred hull gleaming in the light of a distant star. Aria stood on the bridge, her fingers nervously drumming on the armrest of her chair. The moment of truth had arrived. Incoming transmission from the Imperial Palace, Lieutenant Zhang announced. The hollow screen flickered to life, revealing the stern visage of Grand Vizier Kale Voss. His piercing gaze swept over the assembled crew before settling on Aria. "Princess," he intoned, his voice dripping with barely concealed skepticism. "I trust your adventure was enlightening?" Aria straightened, her chin held high. "Grand Vizier Voss, I come bearing news of utmost importance. The Packd threat is real and more dire than we imagined. But there is hope. I have witnessed firsthand the technological marvels of humanity, and I believe in this alliance." Voss's hand sliced through the air, cutting her off. "You will present your case before the full council, Princess. For now, I have arranged accommodations for our guests at the Celestial Spire." The transmission cut out abruptly. Captain Volan's cybernetic eye focused on Aria. Not exactly a warm welcome.
Eyesight.
"The wheels of Missourian politics turn slowly, Captain, but they do turn." Hours later, Aria stood before the imposing gates of the Grand Vizier's private chambers. She took a deep breath, bracing herself for the battle ahead. Voss sat behind an ornate desk of petrified starwood, data slates scattered before him. He gestured for Aria to sit. "I've reviewed the sensor logs from your encounter with the Packd fleet," Voss began, his tone measured. "Your actions were commendable." Aria leaned forward, seizing the opportunity. "Then you see the necessity of this alliance. The Packd are unlike anything we've faced before. Humanity's technological edge could be the key to our survival." Voss's eyes narrowed. "And what of the potential costs and compromises?" The grand hall of the Celestial Spire was a marvel of architecture, its high, arched ceilings adorned with intricate patterns of shimmering crystal. As Princess Aria entered the chamber, her gaze swept over the assembly of the High Council of the Anari Empire. Seated on their elevated thrones, the counselors eyed her with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. The room was bathed in a soft, ethereal light that seemed to amplify the weight of the moment. Grand Vizier Voss stood at the forefront, his imposing presence commanding attention. Beside him, several prominent counselors exchanged whispers, their faces set in stern expressions. Aria's heart raced, but she maintained her composure as she approached the central platform where she would present her case. "Princess Aria of the Anari Empire," Voss began, his voice echoing through the hall. "You have been granted this audience to present your findings and recommendations. Please proceed." Aria nodded and stepped forward, her gaze meeting that of the counselors. She took a deep breath and activated the holographic display at her feet. The room was immediately filled with vivid projections of the Pioneers' battle, the collapse of the rift, and the technological marvels she had witnessed. "As you are aware," Aria began, "the Packd Hegemony poses an unprecedented threat to all organic life. My recent experiences aboard the Pioneer have shown me the extent of humanity's technological prowess and their readiness to combat this threat." A series of images flickered across the display, showcasing the devastating power of the Packd fleet, the collapse of the rift, and the subsequent retreat of the enemy forces. Aria continued, "Humanity's technological edge, their ability to manipulate fundamental forces, and their sheer will to fight could be crucial in our struggle against the Packd." Counselor Marius, a grizzled veteran with a reputation for cautious pragmatism, leaned forward. "Princess, your account is indeed impressive, but we must consider the ramifications of an alliance. How can we be certain that this partnership will not compromise our sovereignty or lead us into unnecessary conflicts?" Aria met his gaze steadily. "Counselor Marius, the alternative is far more perilous. The Packd are relentless and their numbers are vast. Without the combined strength of our two civilizations, we risk losing not only our worlds but our very way of life. This alliance could be our best chance at survival and could even turn the tide of this war. Counselor Celine, known for her innovative thinking, raised her hand. But what assurances can you offer that humanity's technological edge will be compatible with our own systems? We've heard of their capabilities, but integration is often fraught with challenges. Aria gestured to a new set of projections, detailing the integration of Anari and human technologies. The Pioneer's nanofactories can be adapted to our infrastructure, allowing for efficient production and deployment of advanced weaponry. The collaboration would also enable the exchange of knowledge, improving both our technologies. A murmur of approval rippled through the council. Grand Vizier Voss's expression remained inscrutable as he observed the projections. You make a compelling case, Princess. However, an alliance is a significant step and must be approached with caution. We will deliberate on your proposal and decide on the appropriate course of action. The council members conferred amongst themselves, their voices low but intense. The air was thick with anticipation as they weighed the future of their empire against the looming threat of the Packd. After what felt like an eternity, Voss raised his hand, signaling for silence. Princess Aria, the council has reached a decision. We recognize the gravity of the threat posed by the Packd Hegemony and the potential benefits of an alliance with humanity. However, we must ensure that such a partnership does not undermine our sovereignty or lead to unforeseen consequences. He paused for effect, then continued, We are prepared to enter into a preliminary alliance with humanity, subject to certain conditions. We will require a formal agreement outlining the terms of cooperation, including military support, technological exchange, and joint strategic planning. Additionally, we expect full transparency and regular updates on any developments related to the Packd threat. Aria's heart lifted at the news. Thank you, Grand Vizier. I assure you that humanity is committed to this alliance and to the mutual benefit of our civilizations. As the council adjourned, Aria felt a mix of relief and apprehension. The path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but the alliance was a crucial first step in the fight against the Packd. Later that evening, as Aria walked through the Celestial Spire's opulent gardens, she reflected on the day's events. The stars above seemed to offer a glimmer of hope, though she knew that the real work had only just begun. She needed to ensure that the terms of the alliance were solidified and that humanity and the Anari could forge a partnership strong enough to withstand the impending storm. As she gazed at the distant stars, Aria couldn't help but wonder what other trials lay ahead. The fate of both civilizations depended on the success of their newfound alliance, and she was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. Back on the Pioneer, Captain Volan and Commander Trent awaited her return. When Aria finally joined them, she shared the council's decision and the conditions for the alliance. The crew's response was one of cautious optimism. Looks like we have a lot of work ahead, Trent remarked, his tone both excited and determined. But if we pull this off, it could change the course of the war. Volan nodded in agreement. We'll need to start drafting the formal agreement and preparing for joint operations. The Packd won't wait for us to get ready. Aria agreed, her resolve firm. We must act swiftly and ensure that our collaboration is seamless. The future of our worlds depends on it. As the Pioneer prepared for the next phase of their mission, Aria felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead was uncertain, but with the support of humanity and the Anari, she believed they could overcome the challenges that lay before them. The real test of their alliance was yet to come, and she was ready to face it head-on. The days following the council's decision were a whirlwind of activity aboard the Pioneer. Princess Aria and Captain Volan worked tirelessly to formalize the terms of the alliance between the Anari Empire and humanity. The negotiations were complex, requiring intricate agreements on military cooperation, technology sharing, and joint strategic planning. In the Pioneer's conference room, Aria sat across from Captain Volan, Commander Trent, and Dr. Lena Patel. The holographic displays projected blueprints and schematics of combined Anari human technology, illustrating the potential of their partnership. Captain, our engineers have begun adapting the nanofactories to integrate with Anari infrastructure, Dr. Patel reported, her eyes gleaming with excitement. We're also testing the compatibility of our advanced weaponry with their defensive systems. The initial results are promising. Volan nodded. That's good news. But we need to be ready for the Packd Hegemony's next move. They won't sit idly while we build our alliance. Aria leaned forward, her expression serious. We've received intelligence indicating that the Packd are mobilizing a large fleet. They may be planning an offensive soon. We need to ensure that our combined forces are prepared for whatever they throw at us. Commander Trent tapped a control on the table, bringing up a map of the star systems in the region. Here's what we know about the Packd fleet movements. If they strike, it's likely they'll target key strategic locations. We need to reinforce those areas and coordinate our defense strategies with the Anari. Aria's mind raced as she analyzed the data. We should also consider launching a preemptive strike to disrupt their plans. If we can strike at their supply lines or command centers, it might buy us some time and weaken their offensive. Volan's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. A preemptive strike could work, but it's a risky maneuver. We'll need precise intelligence and coordinated strikes. It's not something we can handle alone. Dr. Patel's eyes sparkled with determination. We've already begun working with the Anari to refine our targeting systems. If we can synchronize our efforts, we might be able to execute a successful strike. Aria nodded decisively. Let's move forward with the plan. We need to ensure that the Anari forces are fully integrated into our strategy and that we're ready to respond to any Packd movements. In the days that followed, the Pioneer and its crew worked around the clock to prepare for the looming conflict. Anari engineers and human technicians collaborated on integrating their technologies, while strategic planners from both sides worked together to develop coordinated defense and offense plans. One evening, as the Pioneer drifted through space near an Anari-controlled sector, Aria received an urgent communication from Grand Vizier Voss. His image appeared on a hollow screen in her quarters, his face etched with concern. Princess Aria, we've intercepted new intelligence about the Packd Hegemony, Voss said. They're amassing a fleet in the Hesperis system, and their objective appears to be the capture of a major Anari research station. Aria's heart sank. The Hesperis system was vital for both Anari and human research efforts. We must act quickly. If they capture that station, they could gain access to sensitive technologies and research that could tip the balance in their favor. Voss nodded gravely. We've already mobilized our forces and are preparing for a defense. However, we need your expertise and the support of the Pioneer. Our combined strength could make the difference. Aria agreed without hesitation. We'll deploy immediately. I'll coordinate with your forces to ensure a unified defense and plan a counteroffensive if necessary. As the Pioneer made its way to the Hesperis system, Aria worked closely with Anari commanders to develop a joint defense strategy. The plan involved creating a defensive perimeter around the research station and preparing for a possible counterattack to push the Packd back if they attempted to breach the station. When they arrived at the Hesperis system, the scene was one of controlled chaos. Anari and human forces were already in position, their ships forming a protective shield around the research station. Aria, Volan, and Commander Trent coordinated with the Anari command staff to finalize their strategy. The Packd fleet appeared on the edge of the system, their ships massive and menacing. As the enemy forces closed in, Aria's nerves were on edge, but she remained focused. The Pioneer and its allies prepared for the imminent battle. Deploying defensive systems, Dr. Patel announced as the ship's shields flared to life. Engage defensive perimeter, Volan ordered, his voice calm and authoritative. The battle began with a fierce exchange of fire. The Anari and human ships worked in unison, their combined firepower creating a formidable defense against the Packd assault. Aria watched with a mix of awe and tension as the battle unfolded. Despite their best efforts, the Packd fleet pressed hard, pushing against the defensive line. The research station's shields were holding, but the situation was dire. The Pioneers' advanced weaponry, combined with Anari firepower, kept the enemy at bay, but the battle was far from over. Commander Trent, prepare for a counterattack, Aria ordered. We need to break their advance and secure the station. Trent's team executed a coordinated strike against the Packd fleet's command vessels, targeting their communications and control centers. The attack was effective, causing disarray within the enemy ranks and providing a crucial respite for the defenders. As the battle raged on, Voss's forces managed to push back the Packd, forcing them into a retreat. The research station was secure, and the immediate threat had been neutralized. Exhausted but relieved, Aria and her crew gathered in the Pioneers' briefing room to debrief and assess the outcome. The victory was a significant one, but they knew that the Packd would not be easily deterred. "Good work, everyone," Volan said, his voice filled with admiration. "We held the line and protected the station. This is a testament to the strength of our alliance." Aria nodded, her expression determined. This battle was just one step in a much larger struggle. We need to continue working together, sharing our knowledge, and preparing for the next challenge. As the Pioneers set course for their next mission, Aria felt a renewed sense of purpose. The alliance with humanity was proving its worth, and their combined strength was a powerful force against the Packd threat. Yet, she knew that the path ahead would be long and fraught with danger. The fight was far from over, but with their united front, they stood a fighting chance. In the stillness of space, as the Pioneer and its allies ventured onward, Aria reflected on the journey ahead. The fate of their worlds depended on their ability to navigate the complexities of their alliance and confront the looming darkness together. The stars seemed to hold both promise and uncertainty, but Aria was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.